Anne-Marie's face was filled with terror, but Mickey glanced out the window and saw the toppled cars and bridge and the water from the dam having settled throughout the city. The waters of the broken reservoir had flooded along Vermont and Hollywood Boulevard. Big chunks of concrete rested along the streets. Smoke and fires were still burning in the hills. "We've got to find a way out of here," Anne said. "We've got to escape. We're going to starve. There's no way the army can clean this mess up. No way in hell. Everyone's going to get wiped out." "The army's not going to help us anyways. They might be out to kill people like us. With all of the roundups by the police, we're on that list." "You really think they'd kill us?" "Probably." "God, I'm scared, Mick." "Me too. This whole city is going to an abandoned ghost town for generations to behold, like the Mayan pyramids and sites, empty, barren, uninhabited, a wasteland." "Then what are we going to do? Stay here?" "No, we're going to split. Eventually," Mickey said. "But how? How can we travel without food and water?" she asked. "We'll never survive more than a week, and the radiation will get to us. My body, it's already feeling weak. My arms and fingers, I'm feeling tired again." Anne laid back and closed her eyes. Then she buried a pillow over her face and Mickey heard her sobbing. He walked into the study room to clear his head. When he saw the books scattered across the floor, he wanted to pick them up and put them back into place, stack them neatly with the binders out. He missed the orderly nature of the old world. He missed how neat everything once was before the big change. Why disorder had to exist? He didn't know, but he wanted to reclaim a sense of comfort, a hope that things could get better again. He hoped to reorder his despair with despair as he picked up every book and set the binder back into place. He didn't care if those books fell down again. He didn't care how many times he'd have had to pick them back up. It didn't matter. He needed to pick those books up just like he needed to pick himself back up, and Anne-Marie too, because they were the ones who needed to rise up against everything which had been struck down all around them. He lifted up the fallen bookcase and set it back up against the wall. He knew another big quake was due. It was only a matter of time before a series of aftershocks struck back with more horror. He knew there'd be days and weeks full of the tremors. Still, he didn't care. The bookcase had quite a few broken shelves and was nearly useless. He set the books back into place on the good shelves and then neatened up the row of titles so each label faced out properly. It was a pleasure to flatten down the Persian carpet in the center of the room. Everything felt better for a moment. He noticed the hazy air was glowing outside, almost glittering with bluish-green sparkles, and the air was anything but white, sparing not even hints of a grey tint as the haze kept shimmering. He'd never seen the air look that way before, so eerily quiet in its sound chamber, no birds, no cries of pain or screams. The city was desolate and dead. Even the Hollywood sign was removed from the hill. There were only a few burning plumes of smoke to be seen drifting from a few houses torn in half in the horizon. Every building downtown had toppled. No perfect structures stood. He stepped into the bedroom and slid the bed back up against the wall. The room was much cooler than the living room. About 20 degrees cooler, it seemed. He felt safer in there. The sheets were soft and comfortable. The pillow reminded him of the comfort he'd once found against his mother's chest. She'd always laid his head there whenever he got scared as a child. And for a moment, the bed was like heaven on earth as he laid back and stared at the ceiling. He noticed thousands of cracks from the earthquake, dozens in the walls. He even spotted a few nails sticking out. He was glad the house was still holding together after the quake. But would it survive what was coming in the aftershocks? Knowing the odds, he had to think of a plan. What else to do but run? But to where? If they headed east, the next major city wouldn't come for another 300 or so miles, and how would they get there anyways? Anne was right about one thing. How would they get food and water? He also knew that if they tried to head south, it would equally as impossible to survive along every road torn in half, and that wouldn't lead them anywhere anyways. But the Mexican border? Just that? And then what? For a second, Mexico seemed like a good idea. But even that idea didn't stick with him long. He didn't know a word of Spanish or have a dime to spend. He'd be a fish out of water there, like an alien flopping around dry desert sands where he'd always keep trying until death to return back to the water world from which he came. He'd die in a foreign place because no one would try to save him. No one would care. Isn't that what happens to fish when they're out of their natural habitat? He considered heading north, but even that would land them in the middle of nowhere too. That's if they were lucky to climb up and over those steep mountain tops. There'd be no other choice because there were no paved roads or cleared-up trails to reach the other side. And what about having enough water or food to hike? Even if they could find a safe place to escape, it would take months to reach the nearest sane layer of society, if that even still existed. Was anyone escaping the invasion? Any town? Any city? Any culture? Who knows what other calamities were being done to bring the previous social structures of each and every metropolis and small town to its knees? He didn't dare to question their capabilities. He knew that if they were capable of causing the quake, they were capable of unleashing anything in the invasion. There weren't any limits. Not from plagues, civil unrest, food shortages, and mass roundups and executions. He didn't ever want to consider was impossible to hide from the problem, but he had to consider there might not be any other choice but to keep fleeing the rest of his life, knowing he'd never find comfort and freedom again. He knew time was running out, second by second, hour by hour. Another quake could send the entire house down the hill. The structure was on its last legs, and he knew it when he heard the floorboards and walls creaking as he laid there. He knew the wind was warning him. He knew the whole house was going to fall. Every crack in the structure had made it weaker and prepared for the demise of their shelter. He knew the foundation wouldn't hold in the next tremor and that the aftershock would strike soon. What was left of the house couldn't hold the rest up for long, just like all of those human connections which comprise all of society itself. Those financial markets before the money invasion. He saw it all now, a house of cards that had been built, and now, one by one, each and every card was coming down before the rest of the house caved in. Mickey saw the correlation. But what to do? Where else to go? Heading west was out of the question. The ocean was 30 miles away, and then what? A long, breathless swim to Hawaii? Japan? China? He knew he'd drown and feed the sharks. It wasn't an option, no matter how hopeless he was feeling, no matter how tired, no matter how badly he wanted to bury his head under those sheets and surrender to 1,000 nightmares. He'd rather sleep as long as it took for heaven to come if he had to, no matter how long it might take for the world to forget how to do its evils.
Damn it, he thought. How the hell are we going to escape this reality? How the hell are we supposed to live in a world like this, controlled by them? How? Damn it. How? He thought. How damn it? How the hell are we going to escape this reality? How the hell are we supposed to live in a world like this, controlled by them? How damn it? How the hell are we going to escape this reality? How the hell are we supposed to live in a world like this, controlled by them? How damn it? How? Damn it, he thought. How the hell are we going to escape this reality? How the hell are we supposed to live in a world like this, controlled by them? How? How damn it? How? Controlled by them.